Okay, take 3. I keep getting interrupted with phone calls while I try to make my next installment of the Anarcho Highlander journal entry for this week. And it's okay. It was a good call. It was my friend who was giving me some counsel on purchasing Bitcoin. And he's given me a referral to somebody who's very well. He's like a day trader, and he does all kinds of stuff with cryptocurrencies. So I'm going to be able to reach out to him tonight. Yeah, that's one of the things I'm working on right now. But last installment, I was just talking a little bit about hydroxychloroquine. I want to give you an update on that. Me and my wife did a little bit of research, and it turns out here in New Jersey, probably anywhere in the United States, I think it is this way, you need to have a prescription to get hydroxychloroquine. The good thing about it is, though, is that, we know a couple of physicians, primary care physicians, pediatricians, who, if we need to have hydroxychloroquine prescribed to us, they can accommodate us. So even though the medical industrial complex is not really for the health of people, they make money off of people being sick and selling so-called cures to them. And they fund the universities, and the universities teach the doctors, and the doctors pretty much follow whatever the protocol is that comes down from the pharmaceutical companies. They just, bring out the prescription pad and write whatever. Or if, something's deemed not usable for this or that, they don't, they just follow strictly what's going on. There's no FDA tests or anything for hydroxychloroquine for COVID-19, but we know that it works. And there's plenty of doctors out there that know that it works. And there's even some in New Jersey that we know that will accommodate us if we need to get hydroxychloroquine. Personally, I don't think that I'm going to need it, or anybody in my family is going to need it, because let's just put it this way. I had a really bad flu at the end of January. And it went through my family, it went through my whole household. So, and I don't know for sure, but it probably was COVID-19. It was a really bad flu. I ran a really high fever, and had the shakes and body aches and all that stuff that you get with the flu. And I just slept it off, drank a lot of fluids, some natural holistic remedies that my wife gave to me, and I was fine. I don't think that I'm going to need it. I think I have the antibodies for this. And if anybody was going to get COVID-19 in my area anyway, it would be me. I was all over the state from the beginning. Even before they did the lockdown, I was traveling all over the country. I was one of those people that started air travel early, probably about 2 months ago. First trip was out to Chicago, and been out to Florida, and been up in New England and stuff like that. Really just not, maybe in the beginning regarding the mask stuff for a little while, and then as time went on, maybe 1 or 2 weeks after the lockdown, started to be less and less concerned about it, to the point where these days I do whatever I can to avoid having to wear a mask, and if I do, I try to wear it around my chin. Even right from the first week of the lockdown, there was rallies down in Trenton that New Jersey for medical freedom was putting on, that was against the lockdowns and against contact tracing and against mandatory vaccines and all of this stuff that actually New Jersey for medical freedom has been on top of for the whole time of the lockdown. They're still having rallies, but in the beginning I went to probably about 4 or 5 rallies. Wasn't really abiding by any kind of mask restrictions or anything like that. Not social distancing, looking for people who looking to hang out with people who don't social distance, and not social distancing myself. Even in my workplace, we don't wear masks at all. We have a pretty group of well-informed people who kind of understand what's going on and understand what the risks and the benefits are with all of these restrictions. And so, I think if anybody's a candidate for catching COVID-19 at this point, it would have been me, and I haven't gotten it. So, but if I did, I would certainly, before I would have somebody put an intrusive plastic tube down my throat and into my lungs to exacerbate my respiratory system, which is already in distress, or exacerbate the distress of my respiratory system, I would definitely go with the hydroxychloroquine and not with the tube. I would not let anybody put a tube down my throat, that's for sure. That is a death sentence. But we know that hydroxychloroquine works in most of the cases, so that's the direction I would go in. I would find the primary care physicians that I already know, reach out to them and get the prescription for it, and sure, I'd be just fine with that. But I don't think it's going to be an issue anyway. So if I was going to have it, I would have had it by now, and I think I have already had it even before all of this nonsense took place. But yeah, so I would recommend that you seek out a doctor that does not follow all the protocols of the medical industrial complex and is willing to prescribe hydroxychloroquine at whatever the risk is to them legally, or if they could lose their license or whatever it is. I know there's a lot of pressure on doctors not to prescribe it for COVID-19, but there are doctors out there that are doing it. So seek them out. They're out there. And, I would seek out those kind of doctors for whatever care you're going to get, because those are the doctors that are really concerned about your health. They're not concerned about just following a protocol that comes down from an ivory tower somewhere where, that ivory tower never sees any patients and nobody ever lays their hands on anybody or anything, or looks anybody in the eye or treats anybody. They just make these crazy decisions. I would avoid any doctors who just blindly obey the medical industrial complex. Seek out the doctors that don't. So like I said, my friend interrupted my video, so I got interrupted. I had to start over again. He's giving me a referral to somebody who will give me some help with my cryptocurrency. Here's a little update on that. I got an account on or login for Bittrex and a login for the Edge wallet, and starting to try to put that to use today. I was seeking to put some funds into my Bittrex account so I can go ahead and start purchasing some Bitcoin, because I see it's going up and up. $9,000 some odd $100, last week or a week and a half ago, and now it's all the way up to 11,000 and change. Want to try to start purchasing some, even if it's just partial Bitcoin. I mean, I got my income tax check back, and I'm dumping that into crypto. I'm going to buy, however much Bitcoin I can at this point, and I'll worry about buying the smaller divisions a little bit later. That's what I've been counseled to do, and I have some pretty trusty guides that have been doing it for a long time, that are encouraging me in that direction. Looking to settle my mom's estate with my sister, so I can go ahead and purchase some larger amounts of cryptocurrency. I do have some money coming to me, which, by the way, my mom passed away. Talk about the medical industrial complex. She passed away April 15th, about a year ago. And, she had lymphoma. Now, she didn't die from the lymphoma. She died from the chemo treatment. From the very first chemo treatment she got, she died. She didn't even make it past the first chemo treatment. That was a decision that she made. That's what she wanted to do. I encouraged her to explore all the options. The only options she really looked at were therapeutic radiation, which is X-ray used to blow apart tumors, things like that. Probably would have given her a pretty good quality of life for a decent amount of time, but she wanted to go for what they were telling her would be 100% cure, and that they could pull it off with the chemo, even though she had a weak heart. But the first treatment she was zinged with, it killed her. And I missed her by about 5 minutes. I mean, my sister told me, mom's passing away. You gotta come now. And by the time I got into Manhattan, there it was. She was, my sister was crying. My mother wasn't breathing anymore. And that was the end of that. But I mean, my mom was wise in many ways, and she did manage to have a little nest egg to leave to me and my 2 sisters, and just looking to settle that right now so that I can really take her legacy and build it into something big, and make sure that it doesn't get squandered to the government in taxes and things like this. I'm going to invest it and make it into something huge. I mean, there's every indication that Bitcoin could go into the $1 million mark in the near future, in the next year to 2 years. And if I could just get a couple of those Bitcoins, I'm going to be it's a good chance I'm going to be a millionaire. It's a good chance I can go to zero too. I mean, but I think this is an opportunity that I can't let pass by. I'm going to go ahead and invest in, put those Federal Reserve notes and transform them into crypto, and take it from there. I mean, of course, watch the market and see what other crypto is worthwhile investing in. But I'm going to start with the Bitcoin and take it from there. So that's pretty much what's going on right now. I mean, enjoyed a nice weekend with my family. It was my birthday this weekend. Went out to eat Saturday night at our favorite Texi-Mexi restaurant over in New York. Dining indoors these days. If I just drive, 15-20 minutes out of the way, I can get myself a good, authentic Mexican meal, and I can dine indoors, which is nice. Did that with my family, and earlier in the day we went to the beach in our lake community and went fishing even earlier in the day. Caught some fish with the kids, and spent some time Friday evening with them, and then celebrated the Lord's Day on Sunday. Went to church to worship. It wasn't the greatest thing. They want you to wear a mask there because they're trying to do whatever they can to placate the authorities. It's a little disappointing, disheartening, but the place that I go to for worship right now, I honestly feel that there's not too many other places in New Jersey who teach the Word of God as well as they do, and the congregation lives out the Word of God as well. I mean, is there some hypocrisy? Yeah, there's some hypocrisy. We're all hypocrites. We're all sinners. But I found this church to be a faithful guide in many ways. I think they're lacking a little bit when it comes to teaching us how we should respond to the government, where the line is that we draw when we don't obey the government anymore. But had a nice day. Morning, went to the worship service in the morning, watched an online service out of Coconut Creek, Florida. In the evening, had a nice time of rest in between. And it was just a great weekend. Gave myself a haircut Saturday night before we went out to eat. It's the first time I had a haircut in a long time. I think since COVID-19 started, I had my first haircut. I gave it to myself. I just, I was just fed up with my hair. Before I got in the shower, I said, I'm just gonna cut my hair myself, save myself like $35-40 with the tip, but went into work today, got a bunch of stuff done, was productive, put some time into crypto, trying to figure it out. Let's put some more time into it tonight, and I'll keep you posted, let you know how it goes. But this video is going to be short because, like I said, I got interrupted twice. And I'm almost home from work. I'm on the access road to the community that I live in, and I'll be home shortly. And I do love living up here in northern New Jersey. There's just a lot of trees, a lot of bodies of water, a lot of hills. The roads are all windy. Really get going pretty fast on them. Pretty nice. it's a nice place to live if you're going to live in New Jersey. A lot of times when people think of New Jersey, they think of, Newark or Camden or Patterson. We used to live near Patterson. We moved up here though because we wanted to get away from all that, and we like it up here. But this is the only way to really get out of this. I mean, I used to, like I said, I used to do all of these rallies and these protests and stuff to end a lockdown or whatever, but these people don't care. I mean, Fascist Phil come out and said, I saw you guys out there protesting, and it has no bearing on any of my decisions. I really don't care. He doesn't care. These people don't care. They don't care about you and me. They don't care what we say. It's not going to have any effect. You can yell as loud as you want, get the biggest bullhorn, get the biggest PA system, and yell it right at the building, yell it right in their ears. It don't make a difference. You're not going to get their attention. They're not going to change their minds. They're going to carry out the agenda. So they don't care about you and me. They're in office for self-enrichment. And they'll do whatever they have to do for that self-enrichment. They don't care about me. They don't care about you. So the only thing we can do, really, is to get out of the system. Unplug from the matrix. That means getting your kids out of the public school system. Getting out of yourself and your kids out of the medical industrial complex. Getting out of the government programs, getting out of the government money, the Federal Reserve money. Gotta get out. I mean, that's the only way we're going to beat them. If you take out all of these lifelines that we've given them, that they've set up, so that we slave for wages and they siphon them off into their coffers so they can do their bidding that they want to do and have their agenda carried out, then they're just going to do it if we allow them to do it. But if you take the siphon and you start pinching it through informing yourself and getting out of the system, out of the matrix, not letting them have your money to do what they please with, not letting them have the fruit of your labors, not letting them have the lifeblood that they need to survive and carry out their agenda. That's the only way we're going to beat them. And the biggest way that we beat them is by getting out of the Federal Reserve notes, getting into our own money system. If we get into our own money system, they can't have that lifeblood of money that they need to carry out the wars and to carry out the abortions, fund all these things that we are against, all this backwards thinking in the public school system, everything in the police state, and how the police state has its thumb upon everybody in this country. It's the only way to get out of it. We gotta strangle that siphon, pinch the hose, so they don't have the lifeblood of money that they need to carry out their bidding. It's the only way we're going to beat them. It's the way that we win. And so, we're getting out of the Federal Reserve dollar, the petrodollar, and getting into cryptocurrency, not just for our own benefit monetarily, but for the benefit of our whole society and our culture, so that we aren't funding those things that we don't morally agree with. If we're not paying the taxes on this stuff, and they can't see what we're doing with the cryptocurrency, then they can't carry out their bidding the way they would normally like to. It's going to be disrupted. Disrupt the system in any way that you can. So that's where I'm at right now. I'm just trying to get myself into crypto. And I would encourage you to do the same. Get into crypto, get into silver, get into gold if you can. Make sure you're prepped for the long haul. You got some storable food, some ammo, some firearms, whatever else that you think that you need when the system collapses, because it's going to collapse eventually. Eventually the dollar's going to collapse and the system's going to collapse. So, and the only way to protect yourself and your family from it and protect your family's well-being is to do all those things. Getting them out of the system, getting yourself out of the Federal Reserve system. So when it all falls down, you'll be able to protect yourself and your family. Well, that's all for today, folks. Just about at the end of the access road of the undisclosed location where I live. And I'll give you an update maybe tomorrow or the day after that, because I'm going to have some kind of resolution to my putting funds into my Bittrex account and purchasing some Bitcoin. And I want to let you know how that all goes and what was the problem that I was having with funding my Bittrex account from my bank account. So it'll be helpful to you, helpful information to you, hopefully. So yeah, we'll just end it here. Have a great night.